Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Season Keepers, the show where the only two people we recommend keeping for the season is us. My name's Matt, aka Clean Sheet Wipeout.
My name's James, aka FPL Drug.
Bit of a different pod today, James, isn't it? We're going to take a look at the Euros.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Can't wait. Obviously, kicks off on Friday.
I know, yeah, not long to go, and obviously we took a week off last week, recharged the old batteries, but it doesn't mean we were sitting on our asses. We've been doing a bit of research, we've been planning our own teams. I think we've both decided to at least take part in fan team this season. So where money's to be made, we've had to do a little bit of planning, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
Right. So I think in general, what we're going to chat about on this pod, we'll do an intro, as to the format. We've created a Season Keepers League code, which we'll give you for the official Euro game. I think I'm partaking in that one. I'm not sure James is this season. I think he's going to give that one a miss. Then we'll move on to chatting about the setup of the Euros, the fact that 4 out of 6 teams go through for third place. Then I think we're going to get a bit juicy, and we're going to give our opinions on the England lineup and who missed out and who's gone, and we might have a bit of a debate about that. Then we're going to have a little run through of each group, chat about the options that you guys might like to hear, favored players, which teams that we think might go through. Maybe a little bit about travel issues. There's a few things I've pointed on there that seem to stand out a bit. So yeah, maybe we can chat about that, James. And then we'll have a bit of fun at the end. We'll go top goal scorer, winner, biggest surprise. And I think we've both done the Telegraph route to the final, which is available. So we've sent our screenshots in. We haven't looked at each other's yet. And we'll see who we've got qualifying and who goes all the way. So first things first, James, shall we give out the old league code for the Season Keepers EuroLeague?
Yeah, it is 77PZFFYZ03.
There you go. And if you didn't catch that, you can rewind 15 seconds, start again, and listen to it again. Lovely stuff. Right. So yeah, obviously, Euros kicking off on Friday. First game up will be Turkey, Italy, which I am really looking forward to. Already got it all on my calendar. I've told Ellie that we can't go out on this day, can't go out on that day, because I'm sitting down and I'm watching the Euros. Didn't get it last year. I'm making the most of it this summer, that's for sure. But as we know, obviously 6 groups, 4 teams in each group. And the big thing to note on this is obviously there are 4 third place teams that will go through. And I think that could be quite key to some of the lesser known nations. And for me, fingers crossed, Scotland.
I think Scotland might surprise a few people and take that third place slot and be one of the better third place teams. But it is quite interesting how that sort of is laid out, because as we're talking when we come on to the predictor later, I've got a team that actually doesn't come in the top 2, but then they actually get quite far based on who they get in the sort of second round.
Yeah, agreed. I think it makes a big difference as to where you qualify, and particularly that group F, obviously the group of death that everybody's calling it. That the way that's set up, that third place team could go quite far, and potentially I've got a similar route to you in thinking. And also, like, if England win their group, they play second place in Group F, which is massive. Now, normally you'd think, second place, that'd be a decent team to get. But the fact you've got Portugal, France, and Germany in there, 3 massive nations, we could come a cropper in the last 16.
Definitely, it's a very tough group, that one. It's unfortunate that we'll probably end up getting one of them. It's I've lost my train of thought.
What happens when we take a week off, mate?
Yeah, it's like I'm rusty. I am rusty.
It's not good.
Oh shit! I've just clicked off of it. Having a mare here.
Shall we move on to the old opinions on the lineup, and then we'll come back to
let's
reviewing each group anyway. What were your first initial thoughts? Obviously, we now know that with Trent out injured, Ben White is coming to replace him. Is there any glaring omissions or people that have gone that you don't think deserve to be there?
I question picking Henderson.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's not been fit. He's not been playing. Obviously, yeah, he stole that penalty off Calvert-Lewin and missed it the other night.
Calvert-Lewin looked fucking furious as well.
I don't blame him. He's the striker. He won the pen. I feel like he should have taken that pen. However, having said that, if Henderson puts that away, gets his first England goal, he'd have been a very happy man. But
Yeah,
it's a tricky one.
I didn't understand it because, yeah, I know the game doesn't mean anything. It's a friendly and whatnot, but surely you want to be giving a player like Calvert-Lewin a bit of confidence going into the Euros if he is then called up and say a penalty shootout, because I think DCL would take one. Is Henderson likely to take a pen after that performance? Fucking hope not. I sincerely hope he's not in the top 5 penalty takers. Otherwise, we'll end up coming a cropper like we normally do. But yeah, I didn't get it. It almost felt arrogant from Henderson, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think it was a bit out of character actually, because he's normally all about the team.
Yeah.
And that doesn't come across as selfish, but that was quite a selfish move.
Yeah, I know exactly, and the whole debate about the reason we're taking Henderson, even if he isn't fit, we need him in the dressing room and whatnot. And I laughed at Roy Keane's point that he made about it all, because he's like, well, what the fuck does he do in the dressing room, you know? But,
Do a card trick.
exactly, yeah, it blows bubbles, magician, whatever he wants. But it's exactly that point. Like we're in a tournament. Obviously, we're amongst the still pandemic, and we're still getting the odd COVID announcement. I think Sweden have announced that they've had a player test positive. Obviously, Scotland had John Fleck; he tested positive, so it's still there. Now, say England were to get 2 or 3 cases of COVID in that central midfield slot, and then we're missing Jordan Henderson, because he's not match fit or he's injured. We haven't got another player to call up there, which is why I question. Yes, I know we've taken Maguire because the likelihood is he could be fit for at least further down the line. But I just think Henderson, yeah, I know he's captain of Liverpool and whatnot, but I just think he didn't deserve to go because of his fitness. And there are other players I would have called up.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't have taken him. Even though Saka scored in the friendly, I still think I wouldn't have taken him either. I'd rather have had Prowsey. I mean, James Ward-Prowse played so good against Romania. Like, it's just mad for then Southgate to then pick Ben White over him. I mean, fair play to Ben White. Like, I'm happy for him.
Agreed. Yeah, I think we're both obviously going to be like slightly biased towards Prowsey, but I genuinely believe he deserved to be in that 26 because it's an extended squad. He's another central midfield player, and we've got Declan Rice, Calvin Phillips, and Bellingham. That they play in that spot. Say one gets injured, Chelsea is an ideal candidate to come in. And like you said, yeah, I know it's Romania. They're not the best opposition, but they played well. And Prowsey dominated that midfield. For the 60, 65 minutes that he was playing, he was exceptional. And that's the kind of performance that we see time and time again for Saints. So for me, it's just annoying that he misses out. And yeah, I get why Ben White's been called up because he can cover a variety of positions. He can play centre mid, he can play right back, he can play centre back. And he has had a really good season for Brighton. But arguably, Lewis Dunk has had a better season for Brighton, yet Lewis Dunk wasn't even called into the squad.
That's a fair shout. That is a fair shout. I like when you think of Brighton defenders, you think of Dunk as the kind of leading defender.
Yeah, agreed. Had Greenwood not missed out through injury, who do you think would have missed out?
Probably Saka.
Yeah, I think Saka was on the edge there. I know I've saw some debate that people maybe believed it might have been Calvert-Lewin. I doubt it because Calvert-Lewin is the type of forward I think that can cover Harry Kane. If he does get injured, whereas Saka, yes, he's a very good pacey winger. He's not going to get ahead of the likes of Mount, Foden, Sancho, to name a few, Sterling, Rashford. We've got an abundance of them, and I genuinely can't see Saka playing unless the third game doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, I think at most he's going to be an impact sub off the bench.
Yeah, agreed. So it was one of those, and everybody's going to have a debate. I mean, I think the squad looks good. It's probably the best England squad I think we've had in quite a number of years in terms of depth. The only issue, as always, is defensive options. I still think goalkeeper wise, I personally prefer Henderson over Pickford, but we all know that Pickford's going to be the number one, and we've always got the issue of centre backs, and I think John Stones I trust ish. But when you've got the likes of Connor Cody or fucking Tyrone Mings, like what the hell was he doing in that first friendly? Just completely took the player out, and had VAR been there, that's a red card offence.
Yeah, terrible challenge. Rush of blood to the head from him, and we can't be having that in the tournament.
No, imagine it's we get through to the quarterfinals. Mings is having to cover because we've got injuries or there's tiredness in the squad, and he goes and does that in like the 80th minute. Jesus Christ, it just has me worried. But yeah, I think generally England should do well. We will just need that attacking 3-4 to be on it from the off, and then particularly to get the goals. We're going to need goals at the end of the day to get through in the quarters. If we're going to make it any further, we're likely to concede against some of the bigger teams because I think that backline can be exploited. So the likes of Grealish, Mount would probably be key to unlocking the defenses of the opposition and allowing the likes of Foden and Rashford and Kane to go through in chances. So I'm excited, and obviously I'm also a Scotland fan. I'm born and bred a Scot, so I know it's debatable, and I've seen debates about how you can't support two teams. Well, I fucking can because I'm 50-50 at the end of the day, but I will be obviously supporting Scotland when we play England because we're the underdog.
Unbelievable. It reminds me, I saw a photo on social media today in Bermondsey with all the England flags, and then it's like one Scotland flag amongst it all.
Yeah, that's good. Bad. That was me. I put it there, mate.
There you go.
Right, should we have a little look at the groups then, and then chat about options and our favourite players and whatnot? Right, so first things first, you've obviously got Group A, which to me is actually quite a tough group. You've got Turkey, Italy, Wales, and Switzerland in there.
Yeah, it's an interesting group. I very much like the look of Italy.
Yeah,
and you'll be able to tell that from my fan team, which has triple Italy.
I've also currently got triple Italy in a couple of my drafts.
Yeah, it's tempting. I don't know whether to do the defensive double up, like having Donnarumma and a defender, or to have, say, the keeper and then both wingers, Berardi and then Insigne.
Yeah, my only worry with Berardi is, does he get rotated with Chiesa?
Potentially, yeah.
That's my only worry behind that one. And obviously you've got Immobile up top, which I actually think he's not really been mentioned a lot.
No, it surprises me.
Arguably, probably because there are better and bigger options within those three striker slots. But I could see Immobile getting goals in this tournament.
Yeah, I don't think he's the sexy pick, if you know what I mean. The community will sort of jump on someone that they all fancy, and then everyone will keep talking about him, be it
exactly,
I don't know, Griezmann or Lewandowski or Lukaku. I think Lukaku's in quite a lot of drafts.
Yeah,
a hell of a lot of drafts actually.
To be fair, with Belgium's group, which we'll come on to, I don't blame them at all. I mean, I think he's in every single one of my drafts. Obviously, carrying on with Group A, then you've got Turkey, and I think Turkey could be real underdogs in this tournament.
Yeah, as do I. They've got a decent team. I've got Calhanoglu if I've said that right. I'm not sure, but in the
Really like
team.
him. Yeah, really like him as a player.
Yeah, I don't think I'll play him in the first game because obviously they're playing Italy.
No.
But those next two fixtures, I fancy him to get some returns. I know he's good at set pieces, like our main man James Ward-Prowse. But yeah, Turkey have got a decent team.
They do, yeah. And I know within the main game, Yilmaz, in my opinion, is overpriced in the official game. But within fan team, if you are playing it, Yilmaz is ridiculously underpriced. He's 4.5 million as a forward.
Yeah, I thought it was an error. Like,
yeah,
like
so did I. Honestly, it's madness. But yeah, I've got Yilmaz and Kalanoglu in one of my drafts, just because I genuinely think that yeah, they play Italy in that first game. They'll be gunning for it. I think Italy might struggle to keep a clean sheet against Turkey because Turkey score goals. And listening to the Happy Hour pod, obviously with Robin Sham, I think they've done exceptional work for the Euro stuff that they've done. I listened to the Turkish one today, and the rep that they had on was like quite critical of the fact that they seem to be conceding a lot of goals now, but for the benefit of the fact that they're now scoring more. So, I mean, just looking at previous results, they've had 3 3s, 3 2s, 4 2s, all in the last 5-6 games. So, yeah, the likes of Yilmaz and Kalanoglu, I think, yeah, could be great options. As for Wales and Switzerland, I think they're going to struggle.
Yeah, as do I. I think typically like Bale has carried Wales previously, but I don't think Gareth Bale is the same Gareth Bale he was, say, 3-4 years ago.
No, and I don't think the team that's behind him is the same as 3 or 4 years ago either.
No, obviously, Ramsey's probably a little bit worse than he was. They don't have the elite Robson Carney.
No, no. Obviously, Dan James is in there. I think he's reasonable. You've got Chris Mapham. It's players that we know, like Joe Rodon, for Spurs. But
they're a bit on the ground, I think.
Yeah.
Like you've got Chris Gunter still there, who's been sort of a very much a championship player. It's very much a sort of a championship 11, really.
Yeah, agreed.
Bale aside.
Yeah, Bale aside, I genuinely think it would be a championship team, and for me, Wales come fourth in this group.
Agreed.
As for Switzerland, I don't really think there's a lot to talk about. Obviously, they've got the likes of Granit Xhaka, Shaqiri, reasonable players. I know Rodriguez in that centre back role has been talked about across the community, but I'm not gonna gamble on Switzerland at all, in my opinion.
And all their players are injured.
Well, yeah, exactly. Right, moving on then to Group B, in a group that I think Belgium are going to absolutely dominate. They've got Belgium, Denmark, Finland, and Russia.
Yep. Belgium obviously heavily fancied by me, by everyone, I think. Second place, I think, might be a bit interesting with this one.
Yeah.
I imagine it would be a toss-up between Denmark and Russia.
Yeah.
You'll see who I think when we come to the predictions a little bit later on. But I think Denmark have got quite a good team. They've got obviously Kasper Dolberg up front.
Yep.
They have Vestergaard if they play him. They've got.
I don't think Vestergaard starts.
No, he's on the bench.
Christensen.
Yeah. He's on the bench. So you got Christensen from Chelsea.
Yep.
So that's a great to have. Obviously, came off the bench on the Champions League final.
Yeah.
Russia's squad seems to be the same squad that it was a few years ago.
Yeah, Russia aren't the Russia of old. I think.
Yeah, it's a bit broken.
Yeah, they're an aging squad, and without Finland in that group, I think they'd really struggle.
Yeah, I think that's where their win comes from. I think is Finland. Had they had someone say Scotland, I'd fancy Scotland to beat Russia, for instance.
Yeah, so would I.
I'd fancy Slovakia to beat Russia, probably. Like a lot of teams, I'd fancy over Russia, to be honest.
Yeah, and obviously the big talking point at the moment with Belgium, going back to them, is the fact that De Bruyne is likely to miss out on that first game, obviously with his injury. but then he should hopefully feature obviously later in the tournament. Don't think that makes much of a difference given the group that they've got. It might be good for De Bruyne to be a little bit rested going into this because he's played a lot of football this season, obviously with Man City. So yeah, to ease him in a little bit with the likes of Russia. Perhaps if he's fit, he should feature against Denmark because I think that's the toughest game for them in this group. And then again, maybe rest them against Finland because why risk injury when I think he could be pivotal to them progressing in this tournament going into the knockout stages.
Yeah, 100% agree. There's no point with those easy fixtures.
No, not at all. Right, moving on then to Group C, and not really a group that particularly appeals to me, to be honest. There's one standout team in the Netherlands, but you've got Netherlands, Ukraine, Austria, and North Macedonia.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shitter. The Netherlands haven't actually been particularly playing well over the last few sort of international games, and they're not what they were. But however, obviously, I do kind of fancy them to do well in this group, but just because of the opposition.
Yeah,
like obviously Macedonia, Ukraine, it's pretty weak. Austria, not the strongest team in the world. It's a tough one. Like I think we could see some surprises. I think I could see Austria or Ukraine beating Holland.
yeah,
It wouldn't surprise me. Put it that way.
exactly. Without Van Dijk in there, they're a lot weaker defensively. I know they've got De Ligt, De Vries, and then obviously Blind Vindal, I think his name is. He's a reasonable left back.
Dutch pronunciations.
I know. Honestly, I've been listening to so many pods that I'm trying to nail these pronunciations. But yeah, like Vindal, and then obviously you got Wijnaldum, plays a lot more of an advanced role for the Netherlands than he does for Liverpool. And I think he could be one to keep an eye on. But the standout for me has to be Memphis Depay.
Yeah, no, great option to have, and obviously those teams, there's goals and assists in there for him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Depay is up there with one of the top goal scorers in the group stages.
Yeah, I'd agree with that in the group stages. I think he'll fall away as the tournament progresses, but yeah, that's a fair point.
Agreed. Right then. Austria, however, the only real standout option for me is Alaba. And Sabitzer, to be fair. Sabitzer is also a very good player. But in the fan team game, Alaba is obviously listed as a defender. And we know that that's massively out of position because he effectively plays it as an attacking winger. So I think Alaba is a great shout for that game, whereas I think he is listed as a midfielder in the official game. Out of the two in the official game, I think I'd be likely to go Sabitzer if I was to have an Austrian player in there.
I'd personally just stay away.
Yeah, I don't blame you. All right, shall we come on to Group D then? And obviously the one that everybody's talking about. It's England and Scotland in the same group alongside Croatia and the Czech Republic.
Amazing. I know. Amazing. We always seem to find ourselves in a group with Croatia. It's strange. They're kind of our nemesis sometimes.
Yeah, we do.
I think, it wouldn't surprise me for us to lose or at least slip up against Croatia.
Yeah, exactly. Like Croatia, again, similar to Russia. They're a very similar team to what they were in 2018. Obviously, you've got the likes of Kramaric, Perisic, Kovacic, Modric. All the big names are still there. They're all still exceptional players, but they're that little bit older. And in fairness, Modric can unlock anybody. The skills that man has. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the friendly against Belgium the other day, but the way he took down a ball from a Belgium cross, turned, nutmeg Tielemans, and then played the ball through the Perisic. It was unbelievable. Like it's as if Modric hasn't aged over the last 10 years. He's still an exceptional player. And I think for Croatia to perform in this tournament, he and Perisic are going to be key.
Yeah, definitely. But Scotland, what do you?
Scotland!
Yeah. What do you think? How do you think they're gonna get on?
I am so fucking excited. Like I've been waiting for this for my whole life, effectively, is to see Scotland at a major tournament. We finally got there. I remember the night, obviously, when we got through against Serbia, penalty shootouts. I was so nervous, and I got down on my knees as we saved that final. Oh, mate, I've never been so excited. And I know, I'm also an England fan and whatnot, but just to see my home country at a tournament is amazing. And my heart says we can finish second, but my head says I think we'll get third. The reason that I think we could finish second is because we play both the Czech Republic and Croatia at Hampden Park. Now, for Scotland to have 2 home games in a major tournament, I think is massive. And I know we're probably only likely to have 12 to 15,000 home fans there, but mate, when you get the Tartan Army behind you, it's one hell of a noise. And I've been to Hampden Park a few times as a kid, and it is unbelievable when it gets going. And I think that can make a big difference. If we can get 3 points against the Czech Republic to start with, I think the England game, is the England game. It's going to be one of those derbies. I think England will beat us, but I think we'll score. And then Croatia is going to be huge, and it's just whether the players can deal with the pressure. I would have questioned that pressure 3-4 years ago. We tend to choke, but to see them get through the way they did against Serbia, that was the most pressure I think these players have ever experienced at the national level. And to get through that, I think that is a huge confidence boost going into these Euros. And I also think it is easily the best squad we have had in my lifetime, personally. And obviously, the rather jovial Che McAdams that everybody is now calling him. I think having Adams there is huge. Like to go alongside Lyndon Dykes. There is now that option to play 2 up front, and Scotland haven't had that for a long time.
He's a big boost. He's a very big boost to the team, and I think the point you make about the crowd being there, I think is a good one. I think that could be what tips it over the edge, gives that team that extra bit of energy to beat the likes of Croatia. At the very least, I do fancy you to be that third place team. I don't think you'll finish bottom of this group. I think that's very much Czech Republic's.
I would be incredibly disappointed if we lost to the Czech Republic, because we beat them both times in the qualifiers, beat them 1-0 and 2-1. So I don't see a reason why we shouldn't go into this game with confidence and beat them again. And then, potentially, if we need a point against Croatia to ensure qualifying is either second or third, I think we could get it.
Yeah.
Other than that, in terms of the group, I think Czech Republic isn't really a lot to talk about, is there? No. Stay away would be my opinion. Group E, however, looks a tasty one, doesn't it? You've got Spain, Sweden, Poland, and Slovakia.
It does, and Spain are still obviously a very strong side. I wouldn't say they're anywhere close to what they were when we were growing up, obviously, with the likes of Xavi, Iniesta, and so on.
No.
I think these teams are quite equally matched, other than obviously the ones in Group F, Hungary aside. I think this is a very even group.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Spain will win it, but I think it could be quite tight between the other 3. And I know.
Yeah, I think I can call it. I think that those 2, 3, and 4 could be in any order.
Yeah, genuinely, exactly. Because Poland, they've got Lewandowski, and everybody knows how good Lewandowski is, but he doesn't get the service with this Polish team than he does with Bayern, and
definitely not.
That's what he thrives on. So, yes, I think Lewandowski could be a nice differential pick. if you want to go that way. He's inevitably going to get goals and assists, but I just think it's too tough a group for Lewandowski to go big.
I think there's goals for him. I mean, he's in my fan team. He's there as a sort of a punt, really. If Poland do well, he's going to do well.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it. I just personally, for me, I think there are better options in that forward role for the group stages. But in fan team, I think he is well priced. He's only what 9 million in fan team.
Let me just check. Yeah.
So it's a good price compared to some of those more premium assets, to be fair. With the Spanish team, obviously we've got the likes of Ferran Torres in there, who I think could be a really good option. And then it's Olmo that plays on the other side. I think are both fantastic wingers and could make a real impact in this tournament. Obviously, you've got Morata seems to start up top, but I did read the other day that he seemed to have been booed off by the crowd in their latest friendly. I don't know whether that's true or whether it was an article I was reading, but if that's the case, I don't know if the fans are that happy with him and whether he then is either rested or misses out for at least a game. It would put me right off going for the likes of Morata.
I didn't know that. I mean, I wasn't considering Morata anyway. I think Torres is the better pick.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that can't be good for the guy's confidence as well.
No, exactly. So yeah, it was just something I saw online. I didn't really read much more into it. It's one of those you see the headline and you're like, oh, okay, gets you thinking. Yeah. But I didn't click it. Right, and then finally, let's move on to that massive group. Obviously, the big boys, Hungary, are in there with Portugal, France, and Germany.
Yeah, very tasty group, this one. Obviously, for the fantasy games, it kind of makes you scared to commit to their players.
Tell me about it.
Especially defenders for those teams.
Yeah.
Because it's too hard to call where the clean sheets are going to come from. Like, they're going to be close games. France, Germany, France, Portugal, and so on. It's tricky. I think obviously Cristiano Ronaldo is a player you fancy in any game.
Yep.
So he's obviously a standout option. And then it's just a case of which team you fancy, I guess. Do you fancy France? Do you fancy Germany? If you fancy France, then yeah, maybe it makes sense to go for someone like Benzema and hold him.
Yeah.
Throughout the tournament.
And you're likely to have Mbappe and Griezmann either side. I think again,
it's a great number.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like you look at it and you're like, wow. And I think France will win this group. We'll come on to that in a bit. But for me, obviously in the Euro game, we get the limitless chip and then transfers and a wild card and whatnot. I'm tempted to use the same strategy in that game as I do in fan team and target Hungary. So I think arguably the best captaincy choice for each of the game weeks will be the striker that is playing against Hungary. So I will be captaining Cristiano Ronaldo in the first game. I'll then be captaining probably Mbappe or Griezmann when they play Hungary. And I may well go, Thomas Muller when they play Hungary for their game. I think Hungary are going to be the whipping boys in this, and it is inevitably just going to fill the other teams with confidence.
Yeah, that's a great strategy, and providing they don't, for some strange reason, rotate or rest their players, I don't know why they would, but they might do.
I think it's two, because you've got the 3 points there for each team against Hungary, unless Hungary produce a massive shock. I mean, we've seen it before, but I just don't think the teams can afford to rest even down to that final game because of how tense it's going to be. Whereas we have got other groups, potentially the group for Belgium, for instance, it wouldn't surprise me if they rest a few come match day 3. The same maybe with the Netherlands or Italy. I think they've got options there. They could have 6 points in the bag by the time they get to that third group game. And they're like, okay, right, we'll rest a few players, prepare for the knockouts. This group, I don't think you can call it, like you said.
Yeah, so tough.
Incredibly. Um, the other thing I wanted to pick up on, and it's something that I had noticed, was travel issues for some of these clubs. Now, I know we're in the middle of a pandemic and they have spread it around considerably, but teams have tried to base themselves where they could. But the three teams, in my opinion, that could be massively affected by this, um, Sweden, Poland, Croatia, all travel. Belgium surprised me, to be fair. They total 4,500 miles travel because of where they're choosing to train. So I think they're training in Tbilisi. I mean, I've probably pronounced that horrendously. With their games being in St. Petersburg and Copenhagen. So they've got quite a bit of travel there. And again, the same with Poland. They've got a considerable amount of travel as well. So I think it's tough. And I did see two. There was two lists that I looked at. The first list only took into account the travel between the venues themselves, but there is a huge difference between that table and then looking at it when it includes where they choose to train and where they're basing themselves. And for me, that could have an impact. I don't know what you think.
I don't think it will have that much impact, if I'm honest. I think ultimately, even if say France were to travel to China, I still think they would beat Switzerland or Poland or whoever.
Yeah, well, I guess for the likes of France, Belgium, I think they're strong enough to deal with it in terms of squad depth, excuse me, and the opposition that they've got. The reason that I think maybe the likes of Poland might struggle is because they're in a tougher group. Um, in that travel distance compared to those within that group could make a difference just because I don't think they're as strong as some of the other squads.
Potentially.
But yeah, it's something to consider. And I mean, the data and the information's out there within the Twitterverse, but I just quite enjoyed having a look into it. Um, should we do some predictions before we have a look at our little telegraph routes to the final?
Yeah, let's do it.
Go on then. Right. First things first. Top goal scorer. Who do you think?
I think Benzema.
Oh, okay. Nice. I am going with Romelu Lukaku.
Just thinking he's not actually in my team, my fan. Yeah,
Sums it up.
Lukaku, fair shout. Yeah, a lot of people fancy Belgium.
Yeah, I think I think Lukaku could have a really good tournament. Um, in terms of the biggest surprise, who are you calling?
Kind of picked two teams, but
Okay.
Denmark or Scotland.
Ah,
Yeah,
love the fact that you're throwing Scotland in there.
yeah. Genuinely think you might do well. You've got a decent team as well, like Che Adams, Armstrong,
Tierney, Robertson.
obviously Robertson,
Yeah,
and obviously the fans as well, like you've mentioned as well. That's good impact.
exactly. Nah, good man. For me, Denmark is one of my biggest surprise teams. I genuinely think they stand a good chance to at least progress in this tournament. And the other one, which I've already mentioned, is Turkey. I think Turkey could do really well. Um, I had noted down here the winner. I think we should save that because I think we should go through our routes to the final, and then we'll just let the listeners know what we've predicted for the group games, then the third places, the round of 16, quarters, semis, and final. So, first things first, James, do you want to run through positions for the group stages that you've got?
Yeah, let's do it. So Italy winning the group, Turkey second, Switzerland third, Wales out.
Snap.
Group B, Belgium first, Denmark second, Russia third, Finland last.
Snap.
Group C, Holland first, Austria second, Ukraine third, Macedonia out.
Snap.
Oh, wow. England first, Croatia second, Scotland third, Czech Republic out.
Snap.
Spain first, Poland second, Sweden third, Slovakia out.
Snap.
And for Group F, I've got France to win the group, Germany second, Portugal third, which was a tough decision for me.
Snap. So we've got the exact same for all 6 groups. Right. I think the big thing will be, who are you saying goes through for the 3rd place slot?
Now, I think I wiped that off my screen and didn't get the screenshot, but it's, I think, Scotland, Ukraine, Sweden, and
Portugal.
Yeah.
Okay, I've gone for Switzerland, Russia, Scotland, and Portugal as the 4 to go through. So finally, we got a little bit different there.
Yeah, we have. So with mine, it's got Italy against Austria. Obviously, I'll go for Italy.
Likewise.
Turkey, Denmark. I actually was close, but I actually went for Denmark.
Oh, I've gone Turkey in that one.
Oh, okay. And then Belgium, Portugal. I've gone Belgium.
I've got Belgium, Scotland is the game with the 3rd place. So obviously Belgium, unfortunately, go through.
Holland, Switzerland. I've got Holland, Sweden. Sorry, I've got Sweden to beat Holland.
For me, I've got Holland, Portugal, and I've gone Holland.
Croatia to beat Poland.
Yep.
France to beat Ukraine.
France to beat Russia.
Spain to beat Scotland.
Spain to beat Switzerland.
And then Germany to beat England.
See, I've gone England to beat Germany in that one. I think it'll be a great game. But if England to play them, I think this could be the tournament that they beat Germany in the knockouts.
I mean, I'd love to see it. Don't get me wrong, but I've just got that doubt in my mind.
Likewise. And then for the quarterfinals?
Yeah, for the quarters, I've got France to beat Croatia.
Yep.
Italy to beat Belgium.
Yep.
Denmark to beat Sweden.
Oh, I've got Holland to beat Turkey in that fixture.
Okay. And then Germany to beat Spain.
I've got England to beat Spain in that fixture.
Okay. And then for the semis, I've got France to beat Italy.
Yep, same.
Germany to beat Denmark.
I've got England to beat Holland. So for me, a France-England final.
A France-Germany final for me.
2 very, very tantalizing finals. In terms of the winner, who have you got?
France.
Yeah, same. I think if England to go all the way, as much as, we'd absolutely fucking love it, I think France are too strong for anybody in this tournament.
Yeah. I mean, as we mentioned earlier, that front 3 is delicious, but then the rest of the team's pretty strong as well.
Yeah, genuinely, I think France are going to tear teams apart come that knockout phase, because they'll be gunning for it. The team that they've got is just unbelievable. Like, you look at it and there's quality throughout, and I think it will scare anybody on their day.
Yeah, any of the players are good picks.
Brilliant. Well, I think that draws to an end our Euro review and predictions. Obviously, come the end of the tournament, we'll revisit it. We'll do a bit of a review of how the tournament's gone. Looking over the key moments, some great games that we potentially watch. Because inevitably, James, I think both me and you are going to almost watch every game that is available on television, to be honest.
Oh, I definitely will, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of the kickoffs are at like 2:00, and I'm definitely going to have it on the TV in the background, because I'm currently sitting on my desk, and as you can see on the camera, the TV is there. So that is going to be, on fire. But I think that effectively draws it to an end. For those, obviously, that are playing the official Euro game, if you don't remember the code, just rewind to the start and then you'll hear it. And I've also posted it on Twitter. And obviously, for those within the fan team £1 million game, good luck. Hopefully, I beat you, because the money is unreal in that game. And all the best for the tournament. So it's a goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Cheers, guys.